Hi everyone, my name is Joanna. I'm in the computer science department. I'm in my third year of PhD, and my research is on developing algorithms for teams of robots in search and rescue missions. So a couple of weeks ago, I got an email from Duncan inviting me to give a talk at this conference. And I'm the kind of person, when anyone asks me to do anything of any sort of importance, my first thought is, I am absolutely the wrong person to do this. I could think of about 1 million people who would be more competent. So I'm trying to investigate as to why Duncan would make such a mistake, and look closer at the email. So he says, we've identified you as an inspiring researcher based on your activities outside of your research project, specifically your participation and success in the university's 3-minute thesis competition. I guess he's got a point. I did win 3-minute thesis. And I may have gotten involved in other activities. So let's look at those. So since I started my PhD, I've done teaching assistants, student rep, I've been a travel guide, found myself being a mentor, did a 3-minute thesis, and now this talk. So I may nearly fool myself into thinking, wow, I'm really driven, I must know what I'm doing. Well, that's not true. Most of the time, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want to do or why I'm doing stuff. So in the first 3 cases, that was mainly due to my supervisor asking me to do these things. And I'm quite compliant, so I just go, all right, I'll do it. Mentoring, I was at my first conference in May, and I saw the advert asking for female mentors, trying to influence girls to join the robotics field. And I thought, well, I'm not driven, I don't know what I'm doing, I would be completely the wrong person for this. Fortunately, the day before the event, I found myself sitting next to the organizer of the forum, and she asked me if I signed up to be a mentor because they were running low, and I got very nervous and said no, but I didn't want to convince her that I was completely useless, so I just complied and signed up. So I do these things for whatever reasons, and after doing these things, I've identified that usually it goes one of 3 ways. So often it goes okay. So for example, being a student rep, I'm quite quiet, so I don't always talk in meetings, but when something's important, I bring it up, and I think that's reasonable. Second option, things go really well, like 3-minute thesis. I won an iPad, and that was great. Third option, things are really terrible. So we'll see how this goes. But there is a common trend in my thinking, which usually starts off as, I would be terrible at this. And then either I decide I'll do it anyway, and it turns out okay, or I think I'm terrible, I don't do it, and then nothing happens. So the best example of things going okay is when I did 3-minute thesis. So 3-minute thesis is a competition where PhD students present their work in under 3 minutes exactly. If you go over, you're disqualified. You get to use one single static slide, no props, and a language that's appropriate for a non-specialist audience. And you have to do this all while being very engaging. So I first heard about 3-minute thesis about a year ago when I got the email advertising for the first heat. And I thought, well, I'm a student rep, so I should probably attend this thing. And also, I can't really concentrate for very long, so I thought, the thought of listening to someone explain their research in 3 minutes was quite appealing. So I went there, and I saw all these wonderful presentations. And afterwards I thought, well, I guess that's something I could get involved with. I do kind of need presentation experience because I haven't had any really in the past. So before the second heat, I thought to myself, maybe I should enter the competition. And I concluded that absolutely not. I would be terrible at this, so I should completely avoid doing this. So I went to the second heat and saw another number of wonderful presentations. And by the third heat, I realized this would be my last chance. But on top of this, I was going to go to this conference, which was going to be my first conference, where I would present my work for the first time. And I thought, to be slightly less terrible at it, I should get some experience. And that was enough to convince me that this time I would enter the competition. So I did, and I faced two challenges. The first one is getting up in front of people and talking is really nerve-wracking. So that's a pretty big challenge. But the thing about 3-minute thesis is, even if you screw it up completely and look really silly in front of people, you'll look stupid for a maximum of 3 minutes and then you get kicked off. So that's kind of appealing. And usually the audience is actually, they can kind of relate. Like, most people are scared of presenting. So whatever happens, if you screw up, then people in the audience will be grateful, like something they can relate to. So at the end, everyone claps and we're all happy. The second challenge is explaining a complicated topic in 3 minutes. So I'm in the area of robotics, so I was trying to explain concepts like distributed algorithms, combinatorial optimization, NP-hard problems, the kind of stuff I've been studying for 2 years and I don't understand it at all, so it's kind of difficult trying to explain it to other people. But I set about writing the 3-minute presentation, and I wrote it in a way that I could understand it and that I wouldn't fall asleep while presenting it. And so I got something, I practiced it over and over and over again, presented it with as much enthusiasm as I could, and luckily I won. And what did I win? I won an iPad mini. But what else did I get from it? So I got the experience presenting that I wanted, and I now have a polished 3-minute presentation of my research that I can launch into whenever anyone asks me what I'm doing, which happens a lot as a PhD student. You might know about this. But the main thing I got about from this experience is evidence that even if I think something's going to go really badly, it could actually go really well. And so the more I do this, and the more I have positive experiences following thinking I'm going to be really bad at something, and it actually goes okay, the more I start thinking instead, when I face a new challenge, is to go straight to thinking, well, it might go okay. And then it leaves me open to think, should I do this? Instead of thinking, am I good enough to do this? Which I find very valuable. So I've still got some way to go to be completely confident, but I think I'm about halfway, where I consider sort of equally, am I good enough, or is the challenge good enough? But to conclude, what I've gained from engaging in activities is a growing confidence in my abilities, which I hope will continue to grow as I engage in more activities. As a PhD student, you might have known, if you've been a PhD student for a while, a big part of being a PhD student is procrastinating. So you could either just lie in bed staring at the ceiling, or win 3-minute thesis, which I felt better after than when I lie in bed doing nothing. So I recommend that. And I also find the more I engage in activities, the more other opportunities open up. So for example, I won 3-minute thesis, now I'm giving this talk. Awards and prizes, that's always exciting. If you do very well, you get money and iPads. And then there's the usual stuff to put on your CV, which is also important. But the main thing is that engaging in activities can be quite challenging and scary, but you might find that it's actually worth it in the end.